the clothes in the ransacked bedroom. To the prosecution, this looked more like a cover-up. The break-in staged to deceive the police and hide the murderer's tracks. Could it even be that Knox and Solerchito had faked it to finger Gaudet for the killing?
Appariva chiaramente una simulazione, cioè a noi è apparsa chiaramente una simulazione.
The window will be a key piece of evidence at the new trial, and it's at the heart of question 2. How was the window at 7 Via della Pergola broken?
It's actually broken somewhere this way. You have pictures of this, and obviously our issue is, was it broken from the outside, so it was a real burglary, or was it broken from the inside? It was a completely staged in, as the prosecution argues.
And which would point the finger to those people who naturally had access to the house, which would mean Amanda Knox.
To see if the window was broken from inside or out, if this was a cover-up or not, our lawyers have recruited forensic glass specialist Greg Waite.
One of the tests we'll do now is basically looking at the distribution of glass that we'll get in front of the window after it's broken, and also the distribution of glass that goes inside the property. So in order to do the tests, we'll have to wear some PPE, some personal protective equipment to just protect you from the glass. So we have a rock of the same dimensions and mass as the rock in the actual case. So we're going to throw it through the window and see what the distribution of glass fragments is inside the property. So as you saw there, quite a loud bang, not something you do quietly. If we look at the distribution of glass inside the room, there's a lot of glass, and B, look at the distribution of the size fragments. We have a lot of glass fragments quite well into the room.
The spread of glass from the first test, throwing the rock into the room from the outside, seems to match very closely that shown in photographs from the actual crime scene.
Up to about here is about, 2.5 metres away from the window, and we're still getting a large quantity of large glass fragments that distance away from the window. That's more than I'd expect to find if the window had been broken from the inside, but that's a test that we need to do.
Now, the same again, this time throwing the rock from inside out. A staged break-in, the cover-up.
A few things to notice is the sheer quantity of glass we have outside the window relative to what was inside. We're not expecting to find large pieces of glass. When I say large pieces, a few centimetres in size, inside the property.
At that distance?
At that distance, if that window had been broken from the inside. But there's another test, and this test actually is probably the most crucial test to do. When a window breaks, as you saw, the window bulges slightly outside. The rear side of the glass becomes in tension and ruptures first on the opposite side. And that produces fractures, radial fractures, emanating out from the location of the impact. If we take a sample of glass from there, by looking on the broken edge of the piece of glass, I can see what we call ridge marks, which are stress fractures. An examination of those ridge marks, I could tell you that actually the glass was definitely broken from this side. The main examination that I would have wanted to do at the crime scene as a glass expert would have been to look at the radial cracks coming from the point of impact and looking at the ridge marks on the edge, and that would have told me which side of the window the glass was broken from.
It's the examination of these ridge marks on glass from the crime scene which both our lawyers think could be fundamental in the next trial.
What do you think? Has this stone been thrown from the inside of the room or from the outside?
From the limited photographs I've seen and the evidence of a number of large pieces of glass so far into the room, that would indicate it would be more likely that the glass has originated there from the rock coming from outside in.
So, good news for Knox and Solerchito. It looks almost certain that the rock was thrown from the outside, as would be expected from a genuine break-in. But it's not definite. The question still remains, why was most of the glass found on top of the clothes in the ransacked room? It's a mystery the prosecution will no doubt go for in the trial, to suggest a cover-up. And there's another issue with this window. It's 3.5 meters above the ground. Even if it was broken from the outside, could a single person climb up to it to enter the flat? To find out, our lawyers have recruited Peruvian climbing enthusiast Ricardo Pinella.
Okay, Ricardo. If you could do us a favor and test this out.
This is the actual window smashed the night Kircher was killed. Bars have been fitted since, possibly to prevent a break-in.
Well, you make that seem so easy.
Yes, it's really easy.
You are an experienced rock climber.
Yes,
Do you feel, based on this experience, that you need to be an experienced rock climber to be able to accomplish this feat? Or is it sufficient to be athletic and tall and well-built and so on?
It's not only for me, for athletic person is not a problem to climb that.
It's been said that the shutters were closed at the time, the outside, the green shutters.
It's not a problem to open. And if you want, you can break the glass and clean the pieces of the glass that remain in the windows, and then you can put up yourself and go on the windows without the bars. It's not difficult and enter in the house.
So irrespective bars, no bars, you can
It's
get
not
in.
a problem.
I see.
It's not a problem.
They've seen the tests. What do our lawyers think?
What the prosecution tried to support is that it is impossible to get up there, has totally been, disproven by the test, and therefore I think that's a point for the defense.
Definitely, it is humanly possible to climb that wall and to get into that window.
Let's turn to Craig, the glass house. That was an incredibly interesting and enlightening exam because I learned something that I didn't know. That is, a glass, when shattered, has some fingerprints, so to speak, in the sense that he believed that by looking at the glass, he could conclusively determine, looking at the original glass, the broken glass, whether it had been broken from the inside and the outside. We hope, in the interest of justice, that that test will be recreated during the actual trial. Do you agree with that?
Definitely, they can use experts, they can use tests, they can actually prove what has happened.